mundo y bienvenido a mi canal. Yo me llamo Sibling. Soy una abogada afrolatina, licenciada practicadora en la ley criminal, pero como todos ustedes, a mí me fascina cuando estamos hablando de casos de crímenes reales. En este video vamos a hablar del caso de Mary Kay Letourneau. Si quieren más video en español, nada más dime allá abajo. Hi everyone and welcome back to my channel. My name is Desiree. I'm a licensed and practicing Afro-Latina criminal attorney who, much like the rest of you, has a severe fascination with true crime cases. Listen, today we're going to talk about a case that happened literally way back in the day. This is a case that unfortunately, at least in my mind, was a pioneer of teachers acting less than teacherly. This is a case of a woman who decided that instead of being the role model and trusted adult that she should have been, she was going to abuse her authority. And well, I'll just leave it there for now. This is the case of Mary Kay Letourneau. Mary Catherine Schmitz was born on January 30th of 1962 in Tustin, California. Mary Catherine was quickly known to friends and family as Mary Kay, and it's my assumption because she shared the same name with her mother. Speaking of her mother, Mary Kay's mother was a woman named Mary E., and she was a former chemist, while Mary Kay's father, John Schmitz, was a college professor as well as a politician. Mary Kay had 6 siblings, so she was one of 7, but she was third in that overall lineup of 7 children to her parents, and she was their first daughter. In 1973, and when Mary Kay was either 10 or 11 years old, depending on the month that this occurred, one of her brothers, a 3-year-old by the name of Philip, drowned in their family pool in California. Although tragedy struck Mary Kay and her family quite early on, nobody was held criminally responsible for Philip's drowning, and Mary Kay claimed that this incident would later cause a rift between her and her mother. As I mentioned earlier, Mary Kay's father was a politician. We're not going to discuss the entirety of his career, but let's just talk about some important dates. He began his political career in 1964 when Mary Kay was 2, and he ended his political career in 1982 when Mary Kay was 20. The reason that his political career came to a shocking halt was quite fascinating. Apparently, John had fathered 2 children out of wedlock and with one of his students. If I did some digging, I could figure out how old John was when all of this occurred, but I didn't do that because this story is not about him. This is just a brief side note. John was a community college instructor, so my assumption that for community college, his students are 18 and up. I am not justifying anything. You guys know that I personally feel, legal or not, mid-aged adults having affairs, relationships, what have you, teenagers is odd. But I am pointing out that it was legal here, just because the rest of the story will take a different turn. The affair caused Mary Kay's parents to split momentarily until Mary Kay's mother decided to forgive him and they reconciled. If I didn't say this already, it's actually really important to note. Mary Kay grew up really Catholic. She was really religious. And when she attended high school, she went to an all-girls Catholic high school in Anaheim, California. From what I gathered, Mary Kay had the stereotypical high school all-American story type of thing. She was a cheerleader. She was a member of the cheerleading squad. I couldn't really find how she did academically, but it doesn't really matter. She was just popping. She was popping in high school, okay? Following her high school graduation, Mary Kay moved to Arizona and attended Arizona State University. It was while she attended Arizona State University, or ASU, where she would come to meet the man that would quickly become her first husband, Steve Letourneau. Although Mary Kay and Steve were dating, I guess let's describe it as like casual dating, just casual college dating type of relationship. That relationship would quickly become more serious after the pair learned that Mary Kay was pregnant. Do you know how they learned Mary Kay was pregnant? During one of her classes in college, Mary Kay had to be rushed to the emergency room because she just inadvertently discovered that she was pregnant, either in the classroom or while at the emergency room. It was during that emergency room visit that doctors would later learn that Mary Kay was originally carrying twins, but only one of them survived. Mary Kay then gave birth to the only surviving twin, a boy named Steve, who was born in 1984. So both Mary Kay and Steve the father, obviously, not Stephen Jr., the son, they stated that neither of them were really in love with one another, but they stated that they felt a lot of pressure from their families to get married after the birth of Stephen Jr. So in that same year, the same year that Stephen was born in 1984, Mary Kay Schmitz became Mary Kay Letourneau after she officially married Steve. 1 year after their marriage, and in 1985, Mary Kay and Steve both dropped out of Arizona State University and moved to Anchorage, Alaska, where Steve obtained a position for Alaskan Airlines as a baggage handler. 1 year later, and in 1986, Steve's job would actually transfer him to Seattle, Washington, where Mary Kay would give birth to their second child, a daughter, by the name of Mary Claire, in 1987. 2 years later, and in 1989, Mary Kay decided to obtain her teaching degree from Seattle University. After obtaining her degree, Mary Kay began teaching second grade at Shorewood Elementary School. I want you guys to pay particular attention to that because that's really important and will play an important part for the rest of this story. After Mary Kay began teaching, and in 1991, she and Steve welcomed their second son, Nicholas, and in 1993, they welcomed their second daughter, Jacqueline. Let's go back to 1991 for just a moment, because it was that September that Mary Kay would meet a student that would kind of change the trajectory of her life forever. The student was named Vili, and Vili was born on June 16th of 1983. So at the point that he and Mary Kay met in September of 1991, he would have been about 7 or 8 years old. Mary Kay was Vili's teacher for second grade, but ultimately stopped being his teacher for 4 additional years until he returned to her classroom as a sixth grader in 1995. At the time that Villi returned as a sixth grader, he was 12 years old and Mary Kay was 33. So what happened between the pair? It's my understanding that everything happened that summer when Villi, being a typical preteen kid, bet one of his friends $20 that he could sleep with Mary Kay. Villi was spending a lot of time at Mary Kay and Steve's home doing schoolwork. And I guess that time made him grow an attraction to her. Mary Kay claimed in later interviews that she was also attracted to this 12-year-old prepubescent kid, but she told herself that she wasn't going to do anything until she was divorced. But that didn't turn out to be true. On June 18th of 1996, law enforcement saw Mary Kay and Villi inside of a parked car together. When law enforcement approached, Mary Kay jumped into the front seat while Villi pretended to be asleep in the back. Because that's not suspicious. Subsequently, Mary Kay and Villi both gave law enforcement fake names, and Villi also told law enforcement that he was 18 years old. When questioned by law enforcement, Mary Kay claimed that Villi was a family friend who had been staying with her and Steve, who had witnessed an argument between her and Steve and ran away upset. So she just was being a good Samaritan and she left to go find him in a car together. Villi further confirmed to officers that no touching had taken place, but he failed to provide identification to confirm his age. Police found this as suspicious as I find it. So they took Mary Kay and Villi down to the police station, where they called Villi's mother. When Villi's mother arrived at the police station, she told law enforcement that Mary Kay was a well-respected, honored, and cherished teacher, and she had no issue with Mary Kay and Villi being seen out in public together. After hearing from a mother who very clearly trusted Mary Kay, police merely dropped the matter altogether. In September of 1996, and merely 3 months after this incident, Mary Kay would later discover that she was pregnant with Villi's first child. At the time, Mary Kay was 34, while Villi was 13. 6 months later, and in February of 1997, Mary Kay's husband Steve would find numerous love notes written from her to Villi. Steve was absolutely distraught. He was Mr. All-American. He was a jock. He was Mr. Handsome. The ladies loved him. And for his wife to be sleeping with a 12-year-old, well, I guess 13 at the time, kid behind his back was devastating. And he confided in one of his family members about the letters that he saw between Villi and Mary Kay. That family member immediately reported Mary Kay to the school, which in turn called the police, and she was later arrested on March 4th of 1997. Ultimately, Mary Kay pled guilty to 2 counts of second-degree rape of a child, and while she was awaiting sentencing, the pair's first daughter, Audrey, was born on May 23rd of 1997. Washington State Statute RCW 9A.44.076 defines what constitutes rape of a child in the second degree. 1. A person is guilty of rape of a child in the second degree when the person has sexual intercourse with another who is at least 12 years old but less than 14 years old, and the perpetrator is at least 36 months older than the victim. 2. Rape of a child in the second degree is classified a Class A felony. According to RCW 9A.20.021, subsection A, for a Class A felony, the maximum punishment is confinement in the state correctional institution for a term of life imprisonment or by a fine in an amount fixed by the court of $50,000 or both such confinement and fine. At her sentencing, Judge Linda Lau sentenced Mary Kay to 7.5 years incarceration, but all of it was suspended, minus 6 months, on the conditions that Mary Kay enter a treatment program for sex offenders, take medication for her bipolar disorder, and have no additional contact with Villi. Essentially, what that means is that Mary Kay was sentenced to 6 months. She was given a slap on the wrist and a naughty girl, don't do that again. And she was sentenced to 6 months for raping a prepubescent kid. It's so infuriating. And I know that this case happened a number of years ago at this point, but we're continuing to see cases like it. And honestly, the cases that I have seen, the perpetrators are female teachers. And it becomes frustrating for me as a woman to see that all these other women in positions of trust are abusing their positions and essentially getting slaps on the wrist by the criminal justice system. This is crazy. Mary Kay was released on January 2nd of 1998, and literally 1 month later, Mary Kay and Villi were caught in their favorite place again together, the back of a vehicle. After them being found in the back of her vehicle, Villi had told his counselor that he and Mary Kay had had sex one additional time following completion of her sentence, and Mary Kay was now pregnant with the pair's second child. Ultimately, Mary Kay was rearrested for violation of conditions of her release. Ultimately, when Mary Kay appeared before the court again, she appeared before the same judge. Judge Lau lifted the stay on the suspended sentence and imposed 7 years. While serving her sentence, Mary Kay gave birth to the pair's second child, another daughter, named Georgia, on October 16th of 1998. In August of 2004, Mary Kay was released from prison after completing her 7-year sentence. Shortly after her release, Villi successfully petitioned the court to lift the no-contact order so he and Mary Kay could communicate once more. Following the successful petition to the court, and on May 20th of 2005, Mary Kay and Villi got married. At the time, Mary Kay was 43 years old and Villi was merely 21. Shockingly, the pair remained married for a long period of time, and they did a few TV interviews, one of which was conducted after the pair officially celebrated more than a decade of marriage.
What about your children, Mary? It must have been unimaginably tough on them.
That's why I asked him to get away from us. Go and do your thing.
But that's making it seem like Villi was relentlessly pursuing you. You were the adult.
You can say that.
I am saying that.
I was by age.
And by maturity.
You maybe.
You were a teacher, Mary. You can't say I was immature.
But you don't know him.
No, but I don't need to know him in this discussion. He's the child. I'm talking about you.
Who was the boss? Who was the boss?
What?
Who was the boss back then?
There was me pursuing you.
Who was the boss back then?
This is ridiculous.
No,
this is ridiculous.
Who was? Just say.
Just say.
Who was the boss?
All I knew was what I knew back then.
But who was the boss?
He was 13, Mary.
But who was the boss?
This is getting weird.
Who was the boss? Who?
I'm pursuing the relationship.
Who was the boss?
Well, I was the pursuer.
Yes.
Mary, even as you're hearing this now, come on, he was 13.
Doesn't matter.
It absolutely matters.
Oh, well, flaw me. Flaw me as an
adult?
Yes, flaw me. I did the best I could.
I mean...
Flaw me. Character flaw. Ooh.
That interview was weird. It was weird. Mary Kay was odd. I felt like she was stuck in a stage of infancy, or at least her mind was. She was acting like she was a kid still. I think that she's a psychopath, and she's the one to blame for all of this. I understand that she wants to pin it on a 12-year-old kid, but you as an adult should know right from wrong, correct? And I think her just trying to make this seem like, well, he was the boss. He was the boss. Like, dude, you could have birthed him. You could have birthed him. At 34, you could have had a 12-year-old. It's nasty. It's peculiar. It's weird. I think that the stare, as in the glaze, as in the look in Villi's eyes, was concerning. He had much of his childhood, his youth, his innocence ripped away by this sexual predator. And regardless of how long they remained married, it's nasty. The beginning of their story is absolutely nasty. So anyway, after that interview and in May of 2017, Villi filed for a legal separation.
Well, it looks like the relationship that started more than 20 years ago between a married teacher and her young student is coming to an end. Mary Kay Letourneau made headlines back in 1996 when the mother of four was caught having an inappropriate relationship with then 13-year-old Vili. She gave birth to his child before she went on to serve more than 7 years in prison. After she was released from prison, the couple got married. Now, Vili has filed for legal separation.
3 years later, and on July 7th of 2020, Mary Kay ultimately passed of cancer. Villi spoke out publicly following her passing to proclaim his love and adoration for her and the fact that he was deeply devastated by her loss.
Yeah.
What's the first thing you said to her when you finally saw her face to face and realized she had a really dangerous cancer?
Well, when I got back, she still looked pretty normal. You know, her health, she still looked pretty healthy on the outside, but, you know, within the 6 months, you know, her health declined, you know, rapidly in such a short period of time. It was really just unreal to see her that way.
Did she realize how big a deal this was when she was diagnosed?
She believed that a miracle was going to happen and that somehow she was going to be healed and, you know, it was going to go away.
Was Mary a difficult patient?
In terms of believing a miracle is going to happen without taking any serious aggressive action, that part made it difficult in those terms. But in the terms of it being, you know, my wife and someone who's played a major role in my life, you know, it's, that was the most difficult part because, you know, when we had first met, you know, I was a lot younger, and she was, you know, she was ripped out of my life at that time, and so, you know, this time it's, you know, there's not going to be another letter, and there's not going to be a phone call or a text. So I think preparing myself mentally for that was the hardest part, and still to this day, everything feels really unreal right now.
They say you shouldn't speak ill of the dead, but I honestly can't find a singular positive thing to say about Mary Kay. She's a child predator. She was sexually assaulting a 12-year-old as a 33-year-old woman. The fact that they got married and remained married for an extensive period of time is of no moment to me. What you did preceding that is vile. It was creepy, it was weird, and it was just nasty. This young man got his innocence robbed by someone who worked in a position of power and authority and trust. It seems like Villi and Mary Kay's daughters are adjusting nice. They seem like happy individuals, and I'm glad that none of this really affected them, or at least not outwardly that we can see. I know that this case happened a number of years ago now, but I just wanted to talk about it because I'm seeing more and more cases of female teachers sexually assaulting their students. It's infuriating to me, especially as a woman, because there are too many situations where, in my opinion, women are just given slaps on the wrist for this type of behavior. It is wrong. It's just absolutely wrong. And no matter how many different ways the adult tries to spin it, you know better. Let me know your thoughts on this case. Do you agree with the sentence imposed by the court? How do you feel about Mary Kay and Villi's long marriage? Just let me know anything you want to let me know down below. As always, thank you guys so much for watching. Please be sure to like, comment, share, and subscribe. Until next time, y'all take care.